Hey guys, I'm Far. This video is all about kicking off my website rebuild series. I've been meaning to rebuild my website for probably over a year now, and I've sort of been pushing it back. But this video is sort of all about getting it out there and sort of planning the process and making sure I sort of hold myself accountable. But yeah, here's the plan. So step zero, as you can see here, it says host, domain, etc. I'm going to assume you know how to do this. There's hundreds of videos on YouTube about this, to be honest. But if you're not too sure, do let me know and I'll make a sort of dedicated video. But the fun bit, and that is step one. I've called it infrastructure. You could call it server side stuff, I guess. But that's going to handle things like Cloudflare WAF rules, so things like your traffic and your bots, AG firewall, sort of setting up WordPress, basic themes, child themes, adding turnstile recapture to my basic WordPress forms, so things like your login form, adding a CPT manager. For example, I could use a CPT, which I'm leaning towards, but I really like MetaBox Lite's very sort of light UI. Not too sure yet. Even though this is going to be a draft site for now, it's going to live live on the web. So I'm going to add basic 2FA, probably, I should. And I might schedule a backup sort of routine as well. For step two, I've called it content and structure. So that's adding things like my posts. Luckily, I do have an export of my posts. I sort of always do this, so I can sort of import that easily. I'm going to set up some custom post types, some custom fields, which I'm going to link to the custom post types. I'm also going to consider adding an options field, or sorry, an options page. So that's to handle sort of all global fields. Depending on which CPT manager I use, this may or may not be possible. For example, MetaBox Lite, as amazing as it is, you can't do it because it's the light version. Whereas ACPT, for example, you can. Yes, that's one thing to consider. Pages and templating. I am going to have like a basic design page. It's going to hold a bunch of sort of elements, and I'll sort of get onto that on stage 4. But yeah, it's also going to have my sort of basic homepage, blog page, contact page. I'm going to set up basic templates for all of my post related stuff. So things like my single post, archive tags, categories, etc. I may add a heading on footer. I'm not too sure just yet, but yes, that's one thing that I may add at that stage. For step 4, as I mentioned before, I'm going to have a design page. Within the design page itself, I'm going to have quite a few elements. So it's going to have my color swatch, my typography, so things like headings, rich text elements, so things like paragraphs, links, lists, etc. Buttons, code blocks, and I may add a form. I'm not too sure just yet. So things like contact forms, subscribe forms, etc. Within this stage, I'm also going to set up my child theme. So there's going to be 3 main things. So variables, so things like my basic, I don't know, font sizes, font styles, basic colors. Resets, so things like padding and margin on unordered lists and list items, and also just sort of holding one of my basic custom styles itself. Step 5, pretty simple, main design. Yep. Step 6, I've called it functionalities. Now, I know post read time and table of content are elements that do exist by default. They're sort of native elements that Bricks does have. But I'm actually going to use third-party libraries to sort of add these just because I want a bit more control. But yeah, that's sort of what functionalities of this stage was all about. I want to add heading IDs to all of my post headings, and I want the heading IDs to be semantic. For example, if there's a heading called, I don't know, this is why, I want the heading ID to be this is why. I might add a share to social media component. I'm not too sure just yet, but that's something that I'm going to consider. For example, if someone's on a post and they click share to LinkedIn, it's going to sort of share the link of the current post, as well as the sort of title, sort of in the way that I want it as well. Maybe control the thumbnail as well. So yes, that's shared to social media. Step 7, so that's sort of all about refining the child theme. So that's sort of, making the child theme feel like a developer's child theme. So it's going to handle things like site icons, favicons, etc. For example, if you were to add the website to a bookmark on an iPhone and an Android, sort of what icons show, what if the sort of phone's, I don't know, theme styles are dark, what does the icon look like, etc. I'm also going to add conditional and queue scripts. For example, if I were to have a table of content element on a particular post, and I didn't want it to show, I could actually take a toggle, so I guess uncheck a toggle in the back end, and then it will sort of stop the table of content script from firing. Um, it's for two sort of reasons. The main reason is obviously for performance. The second thing is just to sort of have control over elements and your layouts, I guess. So yes, that's conditioner and queue scripts. And for fully disabled comments, literally what it says, I'm just going to disable comments with a little script in my child theme. Step 8, so this is the sort of final stage, which is go live. So the first thing first is I'm going to migrate the site from a subdomain to a, excuse me. So the first thing first I'm going to do is migrate the site from a subdomain to a main domain. If there is a subscribe form and sort of custom contact forms, I'm going to sort of set those up. I'm going to test the links and the forms, etc. I'm going to add server-side security, so things like, I don't know, uptime monitoring. And monitoring securities, things like patch stack, an SEO plugin, just so I can handle sort of how my website looks when shared, for example. And then I might reschedule the backup routine as well. But yes, that's the plan. Quite a few things. If you did find this useful or at least entertaining and you wanted a screenshot of this, do let me know. Feel free to take a screenshot now. If you want a link to this, do let me know as well, and I'll probably add a link to this as well. But yeah, this series is all about me sort of holding myself accountable, sort of sharing my process, and hopefully learning from you as well. Yeah, thank you for watching. Bye.